Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. Men are very worried about this. And when I say this, I'm talking about the kind of pressure that keeps a man up at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if he's enough. See, a lot of people think men don't feel anything. They think we walk around with our chest out, unbothered, unshaken, unbreakable. But let me set the record straight. Behind that calm face you see, there's a whole storm going on inside. Men worry more about failing than they ever admit, and this pressure sits heavy on their shoulders every single day. A man can walk into a room with confidence, laughter, energy, and that, I got this, attitude, but deep down he's afraid of falling short. See, people think men are built like steel, like nothing shakes them, nothing breaks them, nothing scares them. But the truth is, a man's biggest fear isn't monsters under the bed or enemies outside. It's the fear inside his own head telling him he's not enough. Failure to a man isn't just losing a job or missing an opportunity. Failure to a man feels personal. It feels like a scar on his identity. When a man fails, he doesn't just think he messed up. He starts believing he is the mess up. And that right there is what keeps most men quiet and stressed. Every man grows up with this unspoken rule: be strong, be tough, be the provider, be the answer, be the one who fixes everything. So the moment he feels like he can't fix something, his finances, his relationship, his career, his emotions, he panics on the inside, but he will never show it because men are terrified of being seen as weak. A man could be drowning, but he'll smile at you and say, "I'm good." Why? Because he was taught that admitting fear is failing in itself. Most people don't understand how deeply this fear affects men. Even small decisions feel like big tests. A man could be doing well, but one bad day makes him question everything. He could be surrounded by people who love him, but one setback makes him feel like he let them all down. That's why men grind so hard, because they fear being the reason their family suffers, the reason their partner feels insecure, the reason life falls apart. Even when no one is putting pressure on him, he puts pressure on himself. This fear also shows up in love. A man worries that if he doesn't earn enough, achieve enough, or perform enough, he'll lose the person he loves. He might pull away, not because he doesn't care, but because he's scared she'll see the cracks he's trying to hide. When a man feels like he's failing, he doesn't shut down because he's cold. He shuts down because he's ashamed. He thinks if he steps in front of you while he's broken, you'll see him differently, love him differently, or lose respect for him. So instead of talking, he goes silent. Instead of leaning in, he backs away. Instead of opening up, he builds walls. What men don't realize is that the fear of failure is universal. Every man faces it, but they fight it alone because they believe that's what being a man means. If you've ever wondered why a man works late, why he stays focused, why he sacrifices sleep and comfort, it's because he's trying to outrun failure. He's trying to prove to the world and to himself that he can carry the weight life handed him. And even though he rarely says it out loud, That fear fuels almost every choice he makes. Men fear disappointing the woman they love more than they fear anything else in this world. And most women don't even realize how deep that fear goes. A man might walk around acting strong, confident, unshaken, but inside he's constantly asking himself, am I enough for her? Am I giving her what she needs? Am I living up to what she deserves? A man's heart is wired in a way where love isn't just something he feels, it's something he thinks he has to perform, prove, and protect every single day. And the moment he thinks he's slipping even just a little, that fear takes over. See, a man doesn't worry about disappointing just anybody, but when it comes to the woman he truly loves, that's where his pride, his ego, and his identity get tied in. The love he gives becomes part of who he is. So if he feels like he's not doing enough or not showing up the right way, it hits him harder than any failure at work, any challenge in life, any criticism from the outside world. He will beat himself up long before anyone else ever has a chance to. This fear makes men act in ways women sometimes misinterpret. When a man pulls back, it's not always because he's losing interest. Sometimes he's overwhelmed by the fear that he's letting her down. When he goes quiet, it's not because he stopped caring. It's because he's thinking too much, replaying everything in his mind, analyzing whether he's making her happy or just wasting her time. And when he gets distant, it's rarely about a lack of love. It's the opposite. He cares so much that he doesn't want her to see him struggling, doubting himself, or failing in his own eyes. A man doesn't want to disappoint the woman he loves financially, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. If he feels like he can't provide stability, he worries. If he feels like he can't express himself clearly, he worries. If he feels like he's not affectionate enough, strong enough, or emotionally available enough, he worries. And if he ever sees disappointment in her eyes, real or imagined, that image will sit in his mind for weeks, sometimes months. Men take responsibility for things that women never ask them to take responsibility for. A woman might say, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm here with you. And he'll still think, but I should be doing more. Men don't need to hear that they're perfect. They know they're not. What they need to feel is that their effort counts, that their presence counts, that their love is enough even on the days they fall short. This fear also shapes how men communicate. Some men grew up never expressing emotions, so when they fear disappointing the woman they care about, they shut down instead of opening up. They think staying silent protects her from their stress, not realizing that silence sometimes hurts more. They think carrying the burden alone makes them stronger, not realizing it only makes the distance wider. Still, the fear remains because a man's greatest hope is to give his woman a life she's proud to live, and his greatest worry is that he will fail to do so. Even if he's giving everything he has, men carry the pressure to provide even when they're struggling, and this pressure doesn't come from the outside world alone. It lies deep in a man's heart. A man can be going through the toughest season of his life, but he will still wake up every morning thinking, how do I take care of the people I love? Providing isn't just about money for a man. It's about being the rock, being dependable, being the one everyone can count on, even when he can't count on himself. And that weight, that responsibility sits on his shoulders whether he ever speaks about it or not. From the time boys grow into men, they're taught that their value is measured by what they can give, what they can do, and how well they can support the people depending on them. So when a man hits a hard moment in life, loses a job, struggles financially, gets overwhelmed emotionally, he doesn't just feel stress. He feels shame. He feels like he's failing the people who look up to him, even if they don't see it that way at all. That's why so many men push themselves beyond exhaustion, working late nights, taking on responsibilities they can barely handle, trying to stay strong even when everything inside them is cracking. A man will quietly sacrifice his own needs because he believes he's supposed to. He'll ignore his own pain, skip his own rest, and swallow his own fears because he thinks being a man means carrying the load without ever showing how heavy it is. Even when he's struggling, even when he's unsure, even when he feels like he's on the edge, he still tries to stand tall. He still tries to keep his head up. He still tries to make sure everyone around him feels secure, even if he doesn't. This is why many men don't talk about their struggles. They've been taught that vulnerability is a luxury they're not allowed to have. They believe that if they admit they're tired or lost or overwhelmed, the people who depend on them will lose faith in them. So they endure quietly, hoping things will get better before anyone notices the cracks forming underneath. And sometimes the people around them don't even realize how much pressure he's under because he hides it so well. He'll smile through the stress, laugh through the worry, and keep moving forward because he feels like stopping isn't an option. What people often don't understand is that providing isn't always about finances. A man provides stability. He provides comfort. He provides leadership. He provides protection. He provides reassurance. And when he feels like he's not providing those things well enough, it hits him deeply. He could be giving his all, and still he'll think it's not enough. A man rarely sees his own effort the way others do. Even when the woman he loves tells him she's proud of him, he'll still feel like he's not doing enough. Even when his family appreciates him, he'll still worry about whether he's giving them the life they deserve. That's the kind of pressure men live with, unspoken, constant, and heavy. But they carry it anyway because love makes a man want to give everything he has, even when he has very little to give. Men hide their emotional pain because somewhere along the way they were taught that vulnerability makes them weak. That belief follows a man from childhood into adulthood like a shadow he can't escape. A boy falls down, he's told, "Get up, stop crying." A young man feels heartbroken, he's told, "Man up." A grown man feels overwhelmed, he's told, "Stay strong." So what does he learn? He learns to bury everything deep inside, to put a smile over the hurt, to laugh over the pain, and to act like nothing touches him. But let me tell you something men feel deeply. They just don't feel free to show it. A man could be hurting so badly inside, but he'll show up to work, to family, to life like everything is fine. He'll crack jokes. He'll keep the routine. He'll act like he's unshakable. But when he's alone, that's where the truth comes out. That's where he lets out the sighs nobody hears. That's where he carries the weight nobody sees. That's where his mind plays back every fear he doesn't talk about. And the sad part, he doesn't hide his pain because he wants to be distant. He hides it because he thinks revealing it would disappoint the people he loves. A man often believes that his tears are dangerous. Not dangerous because they hurt him, dangerous because he thinks they'll hurt someone else's opinion of him. Men want to be the rock, the protector, the one who stands strong no matter what. So when they feel anxious, insecure, or heartbroken, they stay quiet. They convince themselves they can handle it alone. And even when they're crumbling on the inside, they will still say, I'm fine. Because that's easier than saying, I'm hurting. Many women misinterpret this silence as emotional distance. They think he doesn't want to share, doesn't care enough, or doesn't trust them. But most of the time, that silence is fear. A man fears being judged, misunderstood, or seen as less of a man. He fears that if he opens up, the world around him will change the way it looks at him. What he doesn't realize is that vulnerability doesn't make a man weak. It makes him human. But that's a lesson he rarely gets taught. Even when a man loves deeply, he might still struggle to express what hurts. The memories he carries, the failures he remembers, the regrets he replays, they all live inside him quietly. He'll push through heartbreak, disappointment, stress, and fears with a locked jaw and a steady face, because that's how he believes a man should function. He thinks that breaking down will break the trust people have in him. But here's the truth. A man's silence isn't the absence of emotion. It's the overflow of it. And that's why so many men walk around with heavy hearts, but quiet mouths. They feel everything, but they show nothing. They carry the storm inside because they believe showing the storm would make them less of the man they're trying so hard to be. Men feel lost when their effort goes unrecognized, and this is one of the deepest truths most people don't talk about. A man can be giving everything he has, his time, his energy, his patience, his loyalty, his ideas, and still feel invisible if nobody notices what he's pouring out. See, for a lot of men, effort is love. The way he shows up, the way he provides, the way he protects, the way he sacrifices, those are his I love yous. He may not always say the words the way a woman says them, but he expresses them with action. So when his actions go unseen, it hits him in a place he doesn't know how to describe. A man doesn't need constant praise, but he does need to feel like what he's doing matters. If he wakes up every day, pushes through stress, gets things done, handles responsibilities, fixes issues, solves problems, and no one acknowledges it, he doesn't just feel tired, he feels unappreciated. It's not that he wants applause. He just wants to know his effort isn't being taken for granted, because when a man feels like nothing he does is noticed, he starts questioning why he's even doing it. This is why men go silent sometimes. People mistake a man's silence for anger or distance, but often it's disappointment that his effort didn't make a difference. He might have worked hard to provide stability and it still wasn't enough. He might have tried his best emotionally and it still fell short. He might have changed certain habits, tried to improve himself, tried to communicate better. But if nobody sees that change, he starts believing it doesn't matter. And once a man reaches that point, he doesn't argue, he doesn't fight, he doesn't complain, he just shuts down. Men carry a lot of responsibility that nobody ever asks them about. They feel the pressure of being the foundation, the security, the support system, the anchor. And even when he's carrying all of that, he still tries to keep a smile on his face. But deep down, he's hoping that somebody, anybody, will notice how hard he's trying. A simple, "I see you," "I appreciate you," or "thank you," goes a long way for a man. It fills a part of his spirit that gets drained faster than people think. When a man's effort goes unnoticed in a relationship, it hurts him deeply. He might not say anything because men often struggle to express that kind of emotional need. He thinks if he says, "You don't appreciate me," it'll be twisted into weakness or neediness. But what he really means is, "I'm giving you everything I've got, and I don't know if you value it." And that uncertainty weighs on him every single day. This feeling isn't just about romantic relationships either. Men feel it with their families, their jobs, their friends, their children. A father can work 2 jobs to keep his household running and still feel overlooked. A son can support his parents and still feel unrecognized. An employee can break his back to meet expectations and still be treated like he's replaceable. Men often feel like no matter how much they do, someone always wants more, expects more, or demands more, and nobody pauses to acknowledge the effort behind it. And here's the thing: men won't ask for recognition. They won't say, hey, did you notice what I just did? They won't tell you that they're hurting because their effort went unseen. Instead, they internalize it. They tell themselves to toughen up, to keep going, to keep working, to keep giving. But inside, that lack of appreciation builds frustration, sadness, and emotional exhaustion. It drains their motivation, their confidence, and sometimes even their love. A man's heart isn't hard, it's guarded. He protects it because he knows how much it breaks when he tries his best and still feels like he's not enough. When a man feels unseen, he doesn't stop caring, he just starts caring quietly. When he feels unappreciated, he doesn't stop giving, he just gives less loudly. And when he feels invisible, he doesn't stop loving, he just stops believing his love has value. That's why recognition doesn't just encourage a man, it restores him. It reminds him that his love has impact, his sacrifices have meaning, and his efforts truly matter. Men crave reassurance, but rarely ask for it, and this is one of the most misunderstood truths about them. People look at men and see strength, confidence, and a sense of direction, but underneath all of that is a silent need that almost no one ever talks about. A man wants to feel valued, wanted, appreciated, and chosen just as much as anyone else. He wants to know he's doing something right, that he's enough, that he matters, but he won't say it out loud. He won't ask for reassurance because somewhere along the line, he learned that needing anything emotionally makes him less of a man. But let me tell you, men need reassurance deeply. The problem is they've been trained their whole lives to act like they don't. They grow up hearing things like, be tough, don't be emotional, don't need anybody. And they carry that mindset into adulthood. So even when a man is unsure, insecure, scared, or doubting himself, he keeps it to himself. He might be fighting battles in his mind every single day, questioning his worth, his ability, his place in your life, but he won't say a word. He'll just stay quiet and hope you somehow understand him without him having to explain. A man will give his best, but he'll still wonder if it's enough. He'll show up, stay loyal, stay committed, put in work, sacrifice his time, and pour his heart into what he loves. But the absence of reassurance makes him feel like he's pouring all that effort into an empty cup. And when that happens, he starts feeling invisible, not because he isn't doing enough, but because he has no idea if what he's giving is landing emotionally. A man doesn't need constant compliments or grand gestures. What he needs is to feel seen, acknowledged, and appreciated in simple but sincere ways. Reassurance to a man sounds like, I'm proud of you. I believe in you. I trust you. You're doing great. Or, I'm glad you're in my life. Those aren't just words to him. They're fuel. They make him stand taller. They help him shake off the doubts he never talks about. They make him feel like he's not fighting life alone. And most importantly, they make him feel emotionally safe, not judged, not compared, not criticized, but valued for who he is and what he brings. When a man doesn't receive reassurance, he starts creating stories in his head. He begins to question his place in your heart, in your life, in your future. He wonders if he's disappointing you, if you're losing interest, if he's not enough for you anymore. And because he doesn't want to appear needy or insecure, he doesn't ask. He just holds it all in. That silence isn't distance, it's fear. It's him waiting for a sign that he's still appreciated, still wanted, still valued. This lack of reassurance can change the way a man behaves. He might pull back without realizing it. He might become quieter, more reserved, more unsure, not because he doesn't care, but because he feels like he's walking blindly, giving blindly, loving blindly without knowing if it's being returned or reciprocated. A man's confidence in a relationship is built on small moments where he feels respected, valued, and appreciated. Without those moments, his sense of worth starts to crumble slowly. And here's the part most people don't understand. Even the strongest men need reassurance. The men who smile the most, who protect the most, who provide the most, who lead the most, Those are often the ones who need reassurance the most because they carry everything. They hold their emotions in, they swallow their fears, they hide their pain, and they rarely get a moment where someone says, "You're doing a good job, I see you." Reassurance doesn't make a man weak, it makes him secure. It doesn't make him needy, it makes him grounded. It doesn't inflate his ego, it strengthens his heart. A man isn't asking for the world. He just wants to know that the world he's building with you matters. And when he gets that reassurance, he loves harder, gives stronger, and becomes the man he always wanted to be because he finally feels like he's enough.